So, of your diet at home, superfoods make up what percentage?
It's somewhere like 30 to 50%. You know, also depending on the season.
Yeah.
But it's high.
Yeah.
I love eating superfoods.
Are you still sustaining predominantly on raw?
No, it's about, predominantly. It's like 60-70%, and also
Yeah.
depends on the time of the year.
Yeah.
Like winter is just more tricky.
So winter's more soups,
A lot more soup.
stews, heavier food.
Yeah, and my diet's also not vegan anymore.
Yeah.
My children changed that in me.
Yes.
Like I gave them the freedom to choose to see, obviously with clean food, certified organic food.
Yes.
Like what are they naturally drawn to? You know, because they aren't programmed yet.
Yes.
I already have all my hang-ups about food and what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see what they gravitated towards. You know, we do include some animal foods in our diets.
I would love to hear that journey. I mean, I just did an article for Dischem in the Dischem magazine, the May one, if you get an opportunity, and that's about my journey from veganism into introducing meat into my diet, or animal-based foods, some little bit of animal-based foods, but it's a story about the turmoil I went through.
No, for sure.
Because I felt like such a hypocrite. I'd like running a vegetarian restaurant, pushing veganism, plant-based, sustainability, and there I was chomping down.
It's the problem with all boxes, hey? When you put yourself in a box, you actually lose sight of principles.
You limit yourself, right?
Well, you limit everyone, because suddenly if you find out that, oh, this food that you thought was totally amazing actually isn't so good, now really can you change? You know, and I've always been, you know, my whole journey started with education. It started with going, I'm doing this experiment and this is going amazing right now, and I'm sure it'll change, because change is the only constant. And I think for everyone to have that freedom in themselves to choose the best they can in the moment, but not peg it so hard that if what they're doing isn't working anymore, that they can't leave it behind. You know, like that job, like that relationship, like that food. You know, if you identify yourself too strongly with it, then it starts becoming unhealthy for you.
So there was a guy that came into the shop 2 weeks ago who had read the article, and he was in turmoil. He was in internal turmoil, because he knew he's been vegetarian for 15 years, and for the last 5 years he had been vegan. But he was drastically unhappy. Unhappy, emotionally unhappy, and physically unhappy.
So felt it, but his beliefs sustained him.
But his own belief system and the label that he'd given himself was creating his own limitations. And he called me over, and we were at a busy Saturday lunch. I was running around, and it took me an hour to get to this poor guy, and he sat there waiting for me, which I felt a bit crappy about. But I sat him down, and I just shared my journey with him. And that sharing of my journey helped him deal with that fear that he had of having to let go of that label.
I think that's so deep on so many levels in so many different places in our lives.
And last week he came into the shop, so he left, he didn't action anything, and last week, this weekend he was in the shop, and he said, Matthew, I'm actually terrified. These words were, I'm terrified. That's how much of an importance he put his food, and how neurotic he had become.
The ideology was that strong.
But I've bought eggs, and I'm going home to make myself some eggs, and I'm actually shaking. So I put my arms around him and I said, listen to what your body has to say. Make your own path and connect with your own higher self. And you will know quickly on whether it's appropriate or not appropriate. But if you're limiting yourself on a belief that may not be working for you, you won't know.
No, you won't know.
So I'm excited to see this Saturday when he comes in.
I mean, I will be, we'll write another book and detail our own story and sharing that sort of stuff. You know, and it's allowing the body's intelligence to actually have a voice. I think so much of our mental process just overwhelms the body constantly. You know, and I think at some deep level, like, the story that desire is a problem, you know, and desire arises from out of what your body's needs are. And when you feel like he would have felt, maybe he felt the draw for an egg, but like the program, the story is so strong, and then the mind and the body fight, and there's this battle, and that causes inflammation, and causes all this, you know, the problems everybody sees. And for me, another part of that is like, allow yourself the freedom to try something new, but baby steps. Because I think so often people want a pendulum. They're like, oh, this doesn't work, and then onto something else. And that's as destructive as sticking, you know, to one thing. So baby steps, testing new things. Like, okay, let him try 2 eggs. See how he feels, like, because his body's also got to adjust to the new food. He might find that it's unpleasant, he might find it's amazing, but having the freedom to actually get the feedback. Okay, now I've tried, how do I feel? I feel pretty good.
My lesson out of that journey was, and I saw a complete reflection of myself in him, was that the healing and our physical well-being is determined by our beliefs around the foods that we eat. And obviously there are fundamentals that need to be in place, and that is close to nature. Unadulterated food is priority, which is natural, which we've made unnatural.
Yeah, like food as it was 100 years ago and beyond.
But you could sustain on plant-based vegan food and be very unhealthy.
Absolutely.
Because you haven't addressed a lot of the beliefs in your own mind about what you're doing. You're not listening to your own body.
And everyone's unique. Maybe your particular physiology at that particular time in your life needs something else. You know, I know that, for example, pregnant women who are breastfeeding have a massive need for nutrients. You know, and for them to get enough nutrients, quite often needs animal foods, because some animal foods are very dense in nutrients.
And so the trick is to find the animal foods where there is integrity somehow.
So from a genetic point of view, I'm more geared towards Mediterranean diets. Actually, vegetarianism is good for me.
Yeah.
If I eat too many animal foods, it's not good for me.
Yeah.
But I naturally feel that.
Yeah.
Like if I eat, I notice, I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel good now, I'll just move away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes you going there to know.
For sure.
So you're consistently building up a database and a knowledge, right?
Reference points for this world and your interaction with it.
That's right. And you're learning about yourself because it's about yourself, right?
Yeah, how you interface with what's around you.
Yes. Yeah.